She is the EVP and General Manager at Alamo Records, and we are very pleased and honored to have her. Y'all give it up virtually for Tiara.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
This is awesome. I'm so excited. As soon as, because I was just kind of on my phone, like Instagramming, and I saw you, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's her.
Oh, thank you, please. I was like, how do I follow Ami? That was so deep and powerful, and that was amazing. Love that.
Yes, we love Ami. She works with our programs during when we're in those 12-week programs. So she works with the artists on a weekly basis. So imagine having that for 2 hours every week. You just get
Wow.
yourself all the way together. So we love her very much.
Love it.
I'm going to jump into the questions. And anybody, if you have questions along the way for Tiara, anything that I say or that she says, like put it in immediately and we'll get to them in the order of appearance, however they showed up. First and foremost, it's Women's History Month, and so obviously we got 4 powerful women on the panel today. And I'm going to start there with how women are leading the new music industry. Your experiences are vast, and you've been working in and around the music industry, if I'm not wrong, about since like around 2008.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through, and we do want to keep our responses short so that we have time to like do the Q&A, but can you briefly high level walk us through, then to now, and then how that correlates and prepared you for the role you're in now, and any insights that you might have for artists who are, kind of taking that winding route to their success?
Yeah. So I started out, I interned at Bad Boy, which was Ciroc and Sean John. I then went to Motown, actually Motown under UMG. They merged. I was a publicist at Republic. I left there. I was like, I don't want to do music anymore. Funny, here I am. Left there, went into a fashion role. I did marketing at Red Bull. Went back into publicity at Columbia, where I worked with Polo G, Little TJ, and Little Nas X. And then from there, I basically got to where I am now, being the GM and EVP at Alamo Records. We have a lot of great and amazing artists, from Rod Wave, Little Durk, Little Got It, Slime Life Shoddy, and the list goes on. And I think, what was the second part of the question?
How any insights you might have for artists, how that prepared you, how all of that prepared you for your role now.
I always say I never expected, honestly, to be in this role. So, I think sometimes you think that all of your experiences are either wasted or they're isolated and they won't lead you to what it is that you're supposed to do. I just kind of always say nothing is wasted. Like I've had jobs that I've hated, like praying on the train, just hoping the train would stop so I would not have to go in. And that job in particular, honestly, it taught me so much. Like it taught me how to deal with conflict. It taught me how to prioritize. So again, like I said, just it's never wasted. And you literally it seems like that was a lot of jobs, but I've learned something from literally every single one of those that I have now applied to what I do now.
Awesome. I think that's something that artists might feel, it's not a stage. It's not a million streams a month.
And I think it's funny, I was having a conversation about 24 karat golden, right? And I remember a lot of times we look at these artists and you think that it's overnight and you're like, they just came out of nowhere. They have 1 million followers on Instagram and, they're streaming 1 million streams a week or whatever. And I remember the signing meeting and I was like blown away by him, and knew that he was a star, and no one wanted. I was asking for favors for people to cover him. It was a journey. And now I see him now, 2 years later, essentially. And like, he's performing on Fallon, and, he had a #1 song with Mood for several weeks. So it's definitely a journey. And you can't get discouraged. I know that's super hard to say when it just seems like nothing is ever that it just seems like nothing really is crystallizing, and it seems like it's just taking a little bit longer than what you would want it to. Like it's literally all part of the journey.
Definitely. What would you I mean, since when you say, since we're talking about the hours basically that have to be put in for an artist to really come into our vision, come into our side, we think it happened quickly. What would you say has been like over your time in the industry? What still works? What doesn't work when it comes to, artists breaking out?
You what I've seen from the artists that have become, like mega stars, like you have to still have your own vision. So many times, I've worked with artists that we create their vision for them and it's not really authentic. It's more, it's like I'm outworking you now. And I've seen it time and time and time again. Like you kind of have to have what it is, like what you like, what you're good at. So whether it's, you're staying up and you're studying TikTok and you're seeing like how your creates keep going up, you're trying different things. Like I love that. Like I love an artist that kind of comes to us and they've already done the initiative. Like I said, they know, like, no, when I post this at my, when I post a video at 12 a.m., I get way more views than I get at 3 p.m. Some artists don't pay attention to that kind of thing. And it seems really minuscule, but it's so important for you to know your base. You know more than any of us what they're gonna like. We're kind of basically, I always tell people, like, we're the machine behind it. And we're essentially partners. So you still have to have kind of some idea of a vision. And I think then the label can come in and we can fine tune it and we can amplify what it is that you're doing. But you should definitely have like some type of direction and something, like I said, that you're kind of good at. Like Lil Nas X was amazing at Twitter. Like that was his thing. I think people probably sometimes know him for more of like the tweets than the rest of, some of like the deep album cuts on the project. But it was something that he was really good at. And then we started moving on to the fashion and like basically amplifying like some of those looks. But he had it, like that was always his personality. And it was like, okay, well, how do we amplify this and run with it?
Mhm. So we have a lot of artists on the chat, obviously, on the webinar, obviously. So, they all feel that what they're doing is great. And how do you, or how have you in your various roles, and especially now, like how have you, when you said it's a partnership and, know what you're good at, but be willing to be coachable, like how do you navigate that? And what's been your experience with that with artists?
Um, you have to be open to criticism. I always say I have no problem being the bad guy. Like I have no problem. It is probably 40% of my day is just having like very difficult conversations or pushing back with an artist. And I think that shows that you care, because so many times I think specifically, when you create a song, let's say you made a song, a year ago or something like that, and then you made a song last night. Most artists think that the song they made last night is like the best thing that's ever happened. But we're like, no, that song that you made a year ago is actually fire. And they're like, no, but this, it's old. And it's like, no one's heard it. It's not old. Like, I get it because it's your baby. And so it does seem like it's old, but it's also like, we're the people that you should trust. And I think that's also super important. Like you have to have trust with your artists. And I think the artist should also have to, trust whoever it is that they're leaning on for guidance. I mean, I told one artist, I was like, you haven't done this before. So how, again, how are you going to, and if you want to go that route, sometimes I'm like, cool, I don't have that much fight in me every day. But you have to trust your team and, know that we know a lot of times, specifically, if it's like rollouts and certain songs, like what's best. Obviously, the artist is going to get the final say, but I think, like I said, it's a partnership and you should definitely be open to feedback.
Awesome. A lot of people in the chat are talking like, oh my gosh, this is something I needed to hear, or that's so true.
Please
So
listen, please. I mean, I literally this morning I was like, can we talk about styling? Like we're smaller, so I'm super hands-on. I mean, down to like, I have one artist, and I was like, I don't like those shoes. Like it's very tedious, but and she's someone that like she gets it now. Like she literally, I let her do her own thing, like I said, and she came back like a week later and was like, I should have listened. And I'm like, yeah, no, I told you.
so along the lines of like that, establishing that trust with an artist, because that's a huge deal. Like they've been doing it alone. They got defense mechanisms. They've gotten this far without a label. Like
Mhm.
uh how do you find the artist now? I had a deal in 2005 with Motown. No followers, pre-Twitter, pre-TikTok,
Yeah.
pre-Instagram, pre-everything. I walked in Sylvia's office and played a couple songs on my guitar and got a record deal.
Oh, wow.
Not
Yeah, it was under Sylvia's reign too.
Yes,
So
under her reign. That's
yeah,
not happening these days
yeah.
ever again, right? Or maybe, but not a lot. So like how do you like what are labels looking for? You know, obviously you see numbers spiking and you might be interested, but what is it, that you love about an artist when you say, all right, let's do a deal or let's do some type of partnership?
I think every label is a little different. I think some labels have specialty. They have like a special, like some labels are really good at R&B and some labels might be really good at, like TikTok artists. So, I think for my label and specifically what I look for a lot of times is, it, most times the A&Rs do, it is usually analytics. We do sometimes some signs, some things off of passion, off of like the A&R is just like, hey, I really, really love this. And I want to sign it. So that does happen sometimes, definitely. Um, but most of the time it usually is off of the analytics. We do sign things really early. So there just has to be some type of traction. So whether it be, like I was saying before, whether it's TikTok, whether your numbers on YouTube with each release, your numbers are increasing. Your following and your engagement is like, that's increasing, and you may have like other and more of an artist community. Like there just has to be some type of traction, because you want to start with something. And I think, even if I was an artist, I would want to come in with something that I already have going on. Because again, our role is to amplify it. Like there should be at least, something that is going on.
Awesome. And then when you say something that's going on, like specifically, let's get technical. What specifically, like when you say TikTok, when you say like Spotify, for example, what are you looking for? What are your A&Rs looking for?
So I don't have all of the proper verbiage of, sometimes I forget. I'm about to pull up my phone. Like, okay, what is the good create? Let's say you released a song, and I actually think this was the number on one of our artists, and it had like 50,000 creates or something like that. And it just literally every week went from 50, went to 100,000. Like that to label shows that there is something. And then he already came in, he had a huge feature on a record that they had done on their own, that another artist just connected with them. And he just put out so much music, and I think sometimes also you just have to put it out. Like artists are very precious with their music. But you never know what's really going to connect. So that's why I said and everybody can't be good at everything, right? So sometimes you have some artists they do really well on YouTube, but they don't do anything on TikTok. So whatever your avenue is, that's the thing that you see the traction in. That's kind of where you can place your focus on. So when a label does go to look at it, they're like, oh, okay, well, it's not really moving on TikTok, but again, he has crazy numbers on YouTube, or vice versa.
Dope. Thank you. I could talk to you all night. But we're gonna move into the Q&A now. Let's see. Where's that little box at? Right here. Okay. I'm going 704. Okay. This is for you, Tiara. When you started, were you going into the industry as an artist, or were you focused on the behind the scenes? What shift made you want to come back to the music scene?
Oh, I can't sing. I have no musical ability whatsoever. Definitely behind the scenes. I think I just got to a point, and because I was doing publicity, it just changed, and managers are difficult. And I think I just got tired of it. And like I said, it was also something that I really didn't want to do. I wanted to do fashion and went into that and was like, oh, this ain't for me either. So I ended up back in music, and I guess I never left.
Awesome. I get it. I love my job too.
Yeah.
So, what do you like about your role at Alamo and the work that you've done versus the work that you've done at other labels? And what's the most important benefit that you bring to the table at Alamo? And that's anonymous. I wish they would have taken credit for their question.
I know that is wow. I've never thought about that. I guess, I love being able to work in so many different capacities. Like I said, because we're small, like it's extremely hands-on. I have learned more in 2 years about music and the business side of things, and digital and video, and like so much stuff that I never had the opportunity to even get to know. so I had to come in almost as also like a student, and I had to be open to hearing, other people's feedback, and just, I never approached it also as like I knew everything. So I think, when I first started out, that with the team, it was very much almost like, even with us, it was like a partnership. It definitely wasn't like, hey, I'm the boss and everything I say goes. I've had very different styles of leadership, good and bad. So I've definitely tried to, with my team, I try to take the good that I have learned, and some of the stuff that I wish people did for me. I try to do that with my team as well. Like I'm always available. I'm on the phone from like 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. usually. But and I never had that for me. So my door, when I say like, I'm always like, my door or my virtual door is always open. Like I actually do mean it.
Awesome. All right. As a woman, how did you become comfortable with being the bad guy in a male dominated industry?
That's a great question. I think, specifically as being a Black woman, sometimes it can be looked at as being aggressive or mean, or all of these different words that no one would want to hear. I think for me, I had to approach it from a way that is still respectful, and still gets things done, because again, like I said, if we get into it, it's like I care, like, and I think I found a very balanced way of having those hard conversations where everything doesn't have to be an argument. It doesn't have to be petty. That was definitely something. And I can be like this, but at the same time, I'm very just kind of like balanced. So I think that was part of it, where sometimes it's like, this isn't an argument. Like, this is just something this is my stance, and this is why we're doing it. And literally, this is why we're doing it this way. I think you learn that as you go, though. You learn also, part of working is everybody's different working styles. How people respond. This person may respond a little bit better if you approach it this way. This person may do it this way. You just have to, again, I think I said it before, just like always be open to learning and changing things. It's like, if someone keeps telling you something, it's like, well, clearly it's not working. Like sometimes you do have to look at the common denominator of things. And I just usually, and fair it's not something that's always commonplace, but I definitely try to implore that.
So that's awesome. I want to get more into that. I will say this: we work with artists one-on-one, very concierge, and it is tough sometimes to be like, I don't like those shoes, or I really think your content should come up a level, or to give that tough love feedback. But you're so right; it is because we care, and if
Yeah.
we didn't care, we would not get that granular.
Oh yeah. No. If I don't care, I'd be like, go ahead. I don't care. Like it's sure. It looks crazy.
Exactly. Okay. What's the biggest loss in the music business that you've taken that gave you the best lesson?
I mean, I was like let go of, laid off of like my first 3 jobs. Like I remember when I got let go, I got Sean John obviously like downsized. And I remember, you would have thought someone died. Like my father was like, I called him and he was like, you just lost your job. And I was like I'm not even a crier. I'm like hyperventilating. And then I'm like, damn, well, this happened again and again. So I think you just have to, you have to know that also, like I said, nothing is wasted. And as cliche as it sounds, like everything happens for a reason. Like I just knew a lot of times, like, especially I think, let's say you wanted a job really, really, really bad and you don't get it. It's like, okay, that wasn't for me, because it led me to whatever the other thing that is going to be for me. And again, specifically my last job, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And, and it introduced me to some amazing artists that I know literally got me to where I am now.
Okay. Dope. All right. Any advice for artists with anxiety, tying into our mental health segment at the top of the webinar?
We offer, I think being able to know that is great. A lot of times I've seen so many artists with anxiety, and I don't even think they realize that that's what it is. So whatever, I think your coping mechanisms are to have to deal with that, whether it's, I don't know, you have to sit back or meditate or reading or whatever that is. Like you definitely have to make that, as much as the music is a priority, that also has to be a priority as well. Because, if you're like that can sometimes be so stifling, and you still, want to be creative with everything that you're doing. So it really has to be a priority.
So, all right. My producers behind the scene are telling me to wrap it up. I have one more question for you. I think it's so many good ones in here. I'm just gonna ask you this last one. I think this one is good. Okay. How would you suggest literal beginner artists that aren't in the rap scene get started in the music industry?
I mean, I think, even what I was saying about all of it is, all the platforms are still the same. So all artists are going on DSPs, or there's so many different genres of music on TikTok. There obviously YouTube has so many different genres of music. Like whatever your niche, whatever your thing is, again, you have to go. Like you have to create something. Even something is like, I think for artists that aren't rappers, like what your what your Instagram page, like what your socials look like, to me is also, it's just a little bit more important than like a rapper. And just having that be curated. So if I'm going to your page, I see it and it's like, okay, you still have some type of vision and what it is that you want to do. If you're a singer, like acoustic covers, uploading those, like put them on your reels. Obviously reels get promoted better than a regular video that you're putting on your Instagram. Yeah, somebody said content is king. Like, yeah, whatever that content is that you have, like you have to share that. So like I said, weekly uploads on YouTube of acoustic covers. Go on the street and sing, like all those different things, like just whatever your content is, like you have to promote that and push that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tiara.